Yeah, hi, good afternoon, and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us on today's webinar, Setting Your Foundation for a Productive and Profitable Exhibiting Experience at the upcoming Global Cold Chain Expo. Next. Today's presenters will be myself, James Rogers from the Global Cold Chain Alliance and show management for Global Cold Chain Expo. Who you just heard speak, the leading trade show expert in the industry, Jefferson Davis from Competitive Edge. Jefferson's a consultant, trainer, speaker, and author with over 30 years of exhibiting industry experience. Next. In addition to the valuable information you'll hear on today's webinar, you'll find an Exhibitor Success Center that we've added to the Global Cold Chain Expo website. The Success Center features a replay of today's webinar, articles for exhibiting success, and a direct line to Jefferson for Q&A on anything Expo related. If you have questions after the webinar or in general about preparing for this event or another. Next. Before Jefferson gets started, we want to set the stage and run through an overview of the event and just talk specifically about some of the features at the event and how to make the most out of your investment. So I'll run through these quickly so we can spend most of the time learning from Jefferson's proven methods. The Global Cold Chain Expo is solely focused on spotlighting the cold chain industry and is the only place to do business with decision makers from each link, all in one place at the Expo floor. Next. The event brings together thousands of cold chain innovators and experts. As a partnership between Global Cold Chain Alliance and the United Fresh Produce Association, Global Cold Chain Expo is the perfect opportunity to spotlight and connect with cold chain industry and to position your company as some of the elite providers in the industry as well. Next. The Expo features all of the technologies, equipment, logistics, and services needed to maintain a safe and temperature-sensitive supply chain, designated to be a comprehensive event for cold chain procurement. The Expo creates considerable time and cost savings for buyers. This destination is a can't-miss event for anybody involved in fresh, frozen, refrigerated, and also ambient operations. Next. Co-location partners. As you all know, Global Cold Chain Expo is not a standalone event. In 2017, the show floor will run directly alongside the United Fresh Tech Expo, United Fresh Market Expo, and also the International Floriculture Expo, all on one level. We feel that when industries come together to best serve their businesses with innovation solutions, services, progress happens for all. Together, the Global Cold Chain Expo exhibitors will be able to offer solutions, logistics, and technologies to all these businesses and every one of these segments. Now I'll talk a little bit more about the show floor on the current slide. Also new for this year, as I mentioned, all three floors are going to be running continuous along the floor, separating our shows by feet as opposed to by halls like you experienced last year. Combined with the new and enhanced educational programs to attract your key buyers, companies will find exhibiting in Global Cold Chain Expo a highly profitable business choice. If you don't mind going back, Jefferson, yeah, perfect. On the left, you'll see companies in the cut flower industry where it says International Floriculture. These are companies from growers, shippers, buyers, and suppliers. In the center of the show floor, United Fresh is split into two sections. We've got the Fresh Marketplace and Fresh Tech. Fresh Market features companies like Chiquita, Del Monte, Dole, and many more. Fresh Tech is featuring processing equipment and other services provided to that industry. Global Cold Chain Expo will be located on the right. As far as registration goes, that will be located in the center, which has a wall behind it, and entrances will fall on the left in front of IFE and directly in front of Global Cold Chain Expo on the right. One pass gets you into all these shows, and vice versa, exhibitors are able to get into all these shows as well too. Next slide, please. To take a holistic look at the event, in its entirety, there's over 750 exhibitors showcasing the latest innovations in cold chain management and technology in fresh produce and also value-added processing and the broader food industry marketplace. In total, we've got over 450,000 square feet of exhibits covering cold chain management, fresh produce, fresh processing, floral industries, That's more than 8 football fields, so it is a large footprint. Over 7,500 key decision makers from retail, food service, processing, production, distribution, logistics, and transportation and construction will all be in attendance. Over 50 hours of educational program will also be featured at the event. We feel strongly that in addition to featuring some of the latest technologies and innovations on the show floor, educational is a foundation and a huge hook to pull in those attendees that come to the show each year. Easy access to 4 great shows in the ideal location for a major industry gathering with frequent flights around the U.S., Chicago, in just over 2 hours. Next slide, please. Since there's so many industry segments, targeted planning is something we highly recommend. We'll be sending out the attendee list in about a week, so you're able to set appointments, do your pre-show planning a month in advance of actually stepping foot in McCormick Place. As far as who attends, I want to talk a little bit about that. The 2017 Expo offers exhibitors a highly qualified buying community. Buyers from processors, retail grocery, wholesale food service, fresh produce, and floral industries that make logistics, operational, and engineering decision makers will be walking the show floor. In addition to temperature-controlled third-party logistics providers, they all come ready to invest in cold chain solutions. Out of the industry segments just mentioned, the Cold Chain Expo specifically targets vice presidents of operations, directors, general managers, managers, and folks from the engineering departments at these facilities, transportation directors, and also any of the other industry segments who buy or lease cold chain services that have buying authority in their respective at their respective sites, facilities, or their plant locations. Because operations and decision makers do vary for procurement, often based on the size of the company or how it's organized, we also do have a huge focus on the owners, CEOs, C-suite, and other decision makers like quality control in those organizations. You can see the breakdown above from the past show in 2016, how the attendance by title was distributed. Next slide. Going to talk briefly about some of the exhibitor benefits to make sure everyone on the call and everyone participating in the Expo utilizes everything that's being provided in your booth investment. Exhibitor benefits from our targeted marketing campaigns of over 50,000 prospects. As an exhibitor, one of the big items that we'll talk about in a second as well too is the unlimited complimentary passes that you get for your customers and prospects. Through a program, we'll talk a little bit more in a moment. I mentioned we provide you with easy-to-use marketing campaigns and support to make this a seamless process for you. Trade press is very active at the event. No other place that get this kind of broad publicity. We're also going to have a press room available for your usage in the West Hall. So if you want to set up meetings with that press, get information out to them beforehand, if you're doing new product releases, have won awards lately, things of that nature, we want to facilitate that as well. As I mentioned, you also have access to the pre and pro show attendee list to schedule appointments and follow up with prospects. Through being featured on the website, in the exhibitor directory, the print show preview that we're working on right now, we create top of mind awareness in the buyer's mind so they know exactly where to find you to discuss your solution. Included in the booth investment as well are 4 trade show passes per 100 square feet. Depending on your size, that will go up in your investment. Next, please. Not here to sell anything today, but we really felt it was important to let you know just about all the different opportunities that the event features, because it's really important to cut through the crowd and achieve that top of mind awareness that I mentioned when attendees arrive there on site. Sponsorship opportunities at the Global Cold Chain Expo significantly increase your ROI. We've got some exciting opportunities that will enhance your visibility. Things like the mobile app, breakfast, shuttle are all still available. We've got that information featured on the website. You can also contact me afterwards to talk about that. Next slide, please. Something new for this year that we didn't feature last year is the Innovation Showcase. Based on research, the number one reason people attend shows is to see what's new in their industry. The Cold Chain Innovation Showcase will feature the latest innovations and cutting-edge solutions that the industry has to offer. The showcase provides exhibitors the opportunity to create awareness and excitement for their new products and solutions. We're going to position this outside of the entrance of the expo, and the showcase, and again, keeps that top-of-mind awareness and drives attendance to your booth and allows you to feature that product, solution, or anything you're looking to display at the show before attendees actually walk on the show floor. Innovation Showcase will be promoted before, during, and after the show. We'll have a featured place on the website for that. So contact me afterwards to talk about that if it's of interest. Next slide, please. Also, the number one tool for attendees to navigate and manage their show experience is the printed on-site guide, which I also want to mention. We've been sending some reminders lately. Make sure you update that listing. It's proven the more it's updated, the more products you feature, the more detailed description is gonna drive tenfold that traffic to your booth. But in addition to your listing, we also offer advertising opportunities in the guide to stand out and feature those products in full color. So this is the last week to reserve advertisements in the program before it does go to print. Next slide. Following up on one of the exhibitor benefits that I talked about is the exhibitor invite program designed to invite your customers and prospects to visit your booth. As I mentioned, we have a database of over 50,000 prospects we market to, but we know you have key contacts and books of business that really drive the growth of your organizations that you want to reach out to before you get on site. So this program allows you to customize templates that we've already built by adding your logo, company description in there, and sending that out when you load your list into the database. Also want to mention that we partner with this company. It's a program that the Expo pays for. The lists are totally protected. Your information will never be seen by us. Really, the program is to benefit your booth experience. Next slide, please. To give you an example of one of these three invites that we offer, as I mentioned, a really simple process. It's as easy as customizing the template, uploading your lists to the verified and trusted partner, and getting that out to all of your prospects. Next slide. As you know, in addition to on the show floor, networking and business development efforts continue before and after show hours. We've included complimentary passes to the opening party in your booth investment. So we hope you join us for the kickoff party to start the event, which is a partnership between United Fresh and Global Cold Chain Expo, hosted at the Shed Aquarium. It's the largest indoor aquarium in the world and is home to more than 8,000 aquatic animals. So it's going to be an exciting time while you sip some cocktails and get to connect with all the folks you may have not seen before, or re-engage in those relationships from previous years. Next. Also, we want to do a brief walkthrough of some of the important items you want to pay attention on the schedule. So exhibitor setup is going to take place on Monday and Tuesday. So if you're having a larger booth display or more intricate, you may want to set up on that Monday. It's going to save you some money from coming in over the weekend with overtime hours. You'll probably find most folks registering on or setting up there on Tuesday morning from 8 to 4:30. That night on Tuesday, we'll have the opening party, as I mentioned, at the Shed Aquarium. On Wednesday, we'll have the joint opening general session, which is also included in your booth investment. The idea behind the joint general session on Wednesday morning before the show opens, this will have 7,000 people in attendance. All the show participants have this included. It's complimentary for attendees and exhibitors. And the idea behind this is to have all the attendees flow onto the show floor at lunch, providing a stellar opening impact for everyone participating. Trade show will open directly after that, as I mentioned, at 10 a.m. And then we'll have a show floor happy hour on the first day from 3 to 4, which will be providing complimentary drinks for attendees. For all shows, although Cold Chain Expo will be the only one featuring a happy hour, pulling all that traffic over to our side is the hopes. On Thursday, we'll kick off at 10 a.m. as well, and then breakdown will be from 4 to 8 p.m. That day. My last slide before passing the mic to Jefferson, I wanted to highlight the value of lead retrieval. If you are not making point-of-sale transactions at your booth, lead management is vital for your success at trade shows. We've partnered with CompuSystems, who is also our registration vendor, so they've got all the attendees' information to offer this service to you. So the slide highlights a number of different ways to manage your lead collection and follow-up on site. Most of you know, so I won't spend too much time talking about this and have used this before, but that is available through our registration provider. So you will get all those vital details if you do make that investment into lead retrieval at the show. Now we wanted to open up for questions before Jefferson goes into his steps for success.
Okay, James, well, we got a few questions here. The first one is, for the show floor happy hour, are we allowed to bring our own beverages to serve to attendees?
It's a great question. We've gotten together with the company called Savor, which is the on-site food and beverage vendor, to create some packages so you can do hosted bars in your booth. You can do that not only during the happy hour, but throughout the event. To answer that question in another way, if the question was regarding bringing your own beverages on site, there is a policy in McCormick Place that if you are serving, I should say the official policy is if you are serving beverages in your booth, it does need to be contracted through Savor, but that is the official show policy.
Okay, thank you. We got another question. You mentioned the pre-registered attendee list is available to exhibitors. So how does an exhibitor acquire that, one, and when typically is that list available?
So we've been talking about that all week with the other partners at the show, because we do like to do a joint release of that list. Typically it's done 30 days out, so we're coming up on that here at the end of the week. Talking with the partners, I believe that list distribution is in preparation for early next week. We'll be providing you with all the contact information for the attendees of Global Cold Chain Expo, and then we're able to provide you with contacts, including phone number, address for the other shows, so you get that full picture and are able to set appointments with people that are not only registered through Expo, but through the other shows, because it is important to note that all the United Fresh attendees and IFE attendees that operate these refrigerated facilities or operate refrigerated trucking assets do tend to register sometimes through their specific shows. So we'll make sure you get that full picture of all the opportunities available.
Okay, thank you. We got another question. What time is the breakfast on Wednesday?
The breakfast, so Wednesday won't be a breakfast. It will be just a joint opening general session. So it'll be theater style seating to come in and enjoy that joint keynote speaker.
Okay, another question. I heard you mention name, address, and phone number. Does it also include email addresses?
Unfortunately, the other shows that are in there in attendance don't allow us to release the emails. I don't believe they also release those to their exhibitors. Coming off, and a lot of our exhibitors were part of the past show at IRW convention, where we felt a need to prepare you and give you the tools you need to set up those appointments. So we want to carry that standard we set forward to our show. So you will find we'll probably provide a little bit more information than a lot of expos, just because of the tradition that we're carrying forward from where the expo has grown from.
Okay, thank you, James. That's all I'm seeing for questions now, but exhibitors, feel free to keep the questions flowing. Just like you did, go to your question box and send them in. And we're going to have another Q&A session right after I walk you through my part of the program. As James mentioned, I'm honored to be here with you guys, thrilled to be working with a great organization like GCCE, who cares enough about exhibitors to not just rent concrete and kind of hope it all works out, but to make an investment in providing you a roadmap on how to make your program productive and profitable. My background's pretty simple. I live and breathe trade shows. Got thrown into my first show in 1985, so I'm actually pushing 32 years now. Like many of you who have exhibited a lot of shows, been involved in the execution of over 200 shows. And for me, in my own companies, I worked in a small company, and so we were typically in 10 by 10 and 10 by 20 booths, and we had to make every dollar do the work of 10. And when I first got in exhibiting, I really thought that was a handicap. But being around the industry now for over 30 years, I came to realize that if you can't make money with a little bit of money, you probably won't make it with a lot of money. So I've been as much a student and a practitioner as I have been a consultant, trainer, speaker, author. I've tried to identify what are the critical success factors that make the difference between your trade show ending up as an expensive appearance where you spend the money and leave it on the floor, or a productive, profitable investment. And I think I've cracked the code. It's taken me 30 plus years to do it. Amongst the clients where I've done tracking, where I've worked in consulting training capacities, collectively, we've been able to trace, now we're pushing almost $800 million in results from shows. So I know this much. I know trade shows work. I know they also don't teach it in school. It's a discipline where the average company spends 41% of their annual marketing budget is spent on trade shows. What I've been on the hunt for is how do we convert that from a spend to an investment? And I want to share with you in this quick hitting session here 7 strategic actions that I think every exhibitor needs to take if they're going to have a productive, profitable experience. The problem with exhibiting for us, for many of you listening to me today, is maybe you're in marketing, or maybe you're in the exhibit manager, or maybe someone just threw you the reins and you're an administrative or support person and they said, here, take over the program. The problem for most exhibitors is that they live in what I call the logistics trap. So what I mean by that is 95% of their pre-show time is spent on logistical and operational issues. What I mean by that is get the booth, right? Get the space, get the booth, get the graphics, get the products, get the people, ship it and fly them in, set it up, tear it down, and go home. And here's the thing, you have to do that, right? You got to deal with the logistics. But if you only live in the logistics trap, the only thing it guarantees is that your booth, products, and people show up. It doesn't guarantee that you're going to get anything from the big investment of both human and financial capital. So what I want to take you through rapidly here is 7 strategic actions that you can take. So let's jump in. Number 1, you've got to be crystal clear about why you're exhibiting and what you're really buying. Okay, so trade shows, some of the important questions I always ask as I work with a company is, number 1, why do you exhibit? And what I'd like each of you in this webinar to do right now in your workbook, I'd like you to jot down your top 3 reasons. Why are you exhibiting at this show? Second, I want you to really get a firm grasp on how much you invest. What is your budget, or how much are you investing? And third, be blatantly honest with yourself here and score it on a scale of 1 to 10. How satisfied are you with the value and the results that you're getting from this investment? Okay, these are all questions which will help you bring clarity. Dr. Phil, right? Most of you have maybe seen his show over the years. He has a saying that I really respect. He says, you can't fix what you don't acknowledge. So when you get clear on why you're exhibiting and the size of the investment and the level of satisfaction or dissatisfaction, this will start pointing the way toward how to improve the results that you get from shows. Okay, and I'm going to ask you one more question here. When you fill out that space contract and you send in that check, what are you buying? I would like as many of you as possible on this webinar to go to your question tab right now. And I'm asking you that question directly. When you fill out that contract, send in that check, what are you buying? Go ahead and send me fastest fingers, and I'll share some of the answers that come across. I won't share who, but I'll share the answers, okay? Fastest fingers, go. What are you buying? Visibility. Exposure. What else? You're going to understand in a moment why I asked you this question, and you'll also see that booth space is what you're buying. So visibility, exposure, booth space. What else? What are you buying? FaceTime. Now we're getting some wood in the wagon here. Networking opportunities. You're buying that. What else are you buying here? So we've got 5. Anybody else? I'll give you just a moment, and then I'll kind of close this poll here. And industry knowledge. Okay, good. You're definitely buying that. See, I would agree with all of those things. You are buying visibility. You're buying exposure. You're buying booth space. You're buying network opportunities. You're buying industry knowledge. You're buying exposure to the market. Those are all accurate answers, but here's where the turnaround starts. Trade shows, when you strip them down from the lights and the graphics and the displays and the noise and the hustle, what it's really about is face and next. And so my entire trade show turnaround formula and methodology is built on the fundamental idea that the magic power of trade shows is putting your company identity, your products, services, your staff face to face with people who can influence and make buying decisions for what you sell, and getting a clear commitment with each visitor you interact with at the show to a clear next action. So if anybody ever asks you in a public place again, what are you buying? I hope your answer will be face and next, because that points the path on how to make trade shows productive and profitable. So our second strategic action, and I'm borrowing this from one of the greatest books I've ever read in my life, called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. If you haven't read that book, I promise you it's worth a read. It was on the New York Times bestseller list for 20 years. Stephen Covey. Begin with the end in mind. You know, people ask me all the time, they go, Jefferson, how do you turn a trade show around, right, from an expensive appearance to a productive investment? And my answer is, be clear about what you're buying and begin with the end in mind, okay? So I think there's 2 ways to exhibit. I think we either exhibit by objectives or we exhibit by hope, okay? So let me give you a little color on what I mean by this. Every one of you on this webinar today, when I ask the question, why are you exhibiting? And I ask you to write down your answers. I know you have reasons. And I've identified up to 100 different reasons why a company could exhibit at a show. But here's what I've learned over these 26 years as a consultant trainer. Reasons are not enough. If you say visibility, if you say awareness, if you say introduce a new product, if you say lead generation, fine. Those are all good reasons. But you've got to take it to the next step, okay? The major question, right? And as one of my other mentors says, don't major in minor things, major in the majors. He said, when the doors close, 90, 180 days after the show, how will you know your company succeeded in the areas of marketing, in the areas of sales, in the areas of customer relationship management? Those are the big 3. Those are the big 3 areas that deliver a ton of value from an exhibit program. But you got to move from reasons to goals, okay? We need goals. So here's an example. Reason, get some leads. Goal, by closing time, we will have captured at least 50 qualified leads. That's a goal. Now, you can't stop there, right? You can't just go, okay, now I got a goal, but somebody's got to put on the hat and play the role of planner, and somebody has to create an action plan. How? So if you tell me, you say, by closing time, we will capture at least 50 qualified leads. You're going to want to convert that. What needs to happen for us to do that? And there's a whole series of steps. And don't just think it, okay? Here's another one. Don't just think this in your mind, ink it. Well, nowadays with computers and phones and everything, but I still think on paper. I find I'm a lot looser, and both sides of my brain get activated more when I use paper versus computer. So I'll kind of start drafting out my thumbnail, and then I'll move it to a computer. So here's the model. This is what we call exhibiting by objectives. Reasons to goals, goals converted to written action plans, plans communicated to everybody on your team who's involved, executed, and measured back to. Okay, every goal needs a planner, and you need a plan. Don't just think it, ink it, and inspect what you expect. And finally, what gets measured gets done. Okay, so this is a process. So here's the best advice I could give you as a professional consultant. Take your top 3 reasons, organize them in order of priority, convert them to SMART goals, and get to work on a written action plan. Okay, if you do that, you will thrust yourself into the top 15% of exhibitors in every show you do. 85% of exhibitors have reasons. Only 15% have clear written goals backed up with action plans. If I quit now and I said, I'm not going to give you one more idea, I'm done, this is all you're getting, and you only took this to heart, you would be on your way to having probably one of the most successful shows in your company's history. But I'm going to give you a lot more. So let's keep rolling. That's our second. Now, let's talk about your exhibit here, okay? James showed you the floor plan, 450,000 square feet. I think we said that's 8 to 9 football fields. I believe there were about 750 exhibiting companies. I want you to start thinking about your exhibit as a destination that is worthy of the attendees' time. What a cool phrase. Jot that down. A worthy destination. I love that phrase, right? So now I stop and I think, hey, attendees, when they come to a show, they have extreme overchoice about which exhibits to visit. And they don't visit them all. They don't notice them all. They don't process them all. They might not even pass them all. This is a big show. In fact, the Center for Exhibition Industry Research found that in the average B2B trade show, the attendee will stop and cross the carpet line of about 26 to 31 exhibits during their time at a show. So here's a big question for you, a major question. Why should they stop at your exhibit? Okay, so 5 keys to make sure your exhibit is a worthy destination. Let me give you some quick hitters on how to make sure that you're positioned. Number 1, look. They've got to see it. You have to make sure that your booth is like a billboard on a freeway. The attendee is flying down the aisles at 70 miles an hour. Job 1, make them look. So how are you using lighting, imagery, color, motion, sound, messaging? Okay, what are you doing to make sure you get seen? Because if they don't see it, then they can't process it. Number 2, the second they glance at a booth, this is the mental framework of how an attendee processes the exhibit hall. What do? Be Captain Obvious here. Make sure there's not one human being. I tell you what, if you have people walking into your booth asking you, what do you guys do here? You know that you've got a problem with your booth. Do not make them work too hard. They won't. They'll pass right on by. Number 3, why should I care? You need a value proposition or a benefit or a problem that you can solve, and you've got to visually, both with imagery and with copy, communicate why. Okay, my company, by the way, over the last 6 years, has been on 119 show floors. We have conducted 20,000 exhibit evaluations, and many booths are lacking in all 3 of these areas. There's nothing that's forcing the visitor to look at it. It's not quickly evident what they do, and there's not a clear value proposition. as to why I should stop and engage. Okay, number 4, who. Okay, now obviously who you are, but notice the flow of how the visitor processes information. What, why, who. Okay, and then number 5, do, something to do. Okay, the Center for Exhibition Industry Research conducted a very large study 1.5 years ago, and they found that the number 1 way that attendees want to engage with exhibits in the hall is through interactive presentations and demonstrations. Okay, so you've got to bring it, and you've got to activate it, and you've got to get them to engage and immerse with your product or your service messaging and story. So your presentation demonstration is absolutely critical. Okay, now let's go to number 4. Remember I said I'm going to give you 7 here. This is a big one here. Here's one of my favorites. I'm going to talk about how to win the game before kickoff. How to win it before kickoff. Okay, here's the battle cry that between now and when you show up in June, get in the mind, get on the agenda of enough of the right attendees. That's how you win the game. You want to show up if you have the interaction capacity for 300 interactions in your booth. You want to walk into the arena, into the hall, in the mind and on the agenda of 200 to 250 of those interactions, so that anything that just falls in out of the aisle is like the icing on the cake. Okay? So how do you do that? Well, number 1, you define with crystal clarity who are the right attendees for you. James showed you a few moments ago the different vertical markets that attend the show, and he also showed you the job functions and titles of who attends. That's where you start, by the type of company, the vertical market, the job function and title, and whatever other criteria you can use to create what I call an ideal visitor profile. Next, you calculate how much is enough. Let me walk you through how to do this. Grab a pen right now, everybody. James, the Expo has how many exhibiting hours are in the Expo? Open exhibit hours when the hall's open.
There is 12 hours.
Okay, write that down, everybody, 12 hours. Okay, now listen carefully. This formula is a game changer, okay, because it's building on the premise of trade shows are about face and next. Okay, so there are 12 hours in the Expo. Each one of you in this webinar today, I want you to write down how many booth staff will be in your booth on average for those 12 hours. Let's say that I'm a small booth. I'm in a 10 by 20. I have 4 booth staff. I don't know what your number is, but write it down. By the way, staffing rule of thumb, 50 square feet per booth staffer. So multiply your full-time staffing equivalent, in my example, 4, by the 12 interactions per hour, and you have 48 staff hours. That is your interaction capacity. Now, listen carefully. You're going to add one more piece to this equation. I want you to pick a number between 3 and 5. 3 is conservative, 4 is moderate, 5 is aggressive. Pick one of those numbers now and write it under your total staff hours. I'm going to use 3 in my example. So 48 times 3 equals 144. What is that number, that 345? That is a target number of interactions per hour per staffer. So in my example, 12 hours with 4 booth staff equals 48 staff hours times 3 interactions per hour per staffer gives me an exhibit interaction capacity of 144. My life is getting easy now. I tell you what, for me to win the game, all I got to do is get in the mind and on the agenda of 144 of the best attendees. And that is my job between now and showtime, to fill as much of my interaction capacity as I can before I get to the venue. So in this third step, so now what are you going to do between now and when you get to the show? James showed you the Exhibitor Invites program. That is a free email program that you can upload your lists securely to and send 3 emails to them. It's free. It's got show passes built into it. He showed you opportunities like advertising in the show directory and the mobile app and on the show website and the direct marketing stuff that you can do on your own. Okay, so I want you to do two things to follow up this exercise. Number one, I want you to create a crystal clear, compelling value proposition. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. And I want you to deliver that value proposition through as many channels as your time, your budget, and your skill set allows you to do. Okay? Now, how do you build your value proposition? Okay? If you just send an email that says, going to Global Cold Chain Expo, ? Visit booth 2084. I'm telling you, it's getting deleted. They're not going to notice it. Anything that you show, tell, send, print, broadcast, post has to cut through all the noise out there. It's got to grab your audience by the throat, and it's got to force them to look and process your message. So here's what the value proposition looks like. I want you to think about what problems is your market facing that your products are uniquely qualified to solve or solve at all. Now you can start writing subject lines and headlines and social media posts. Tired of this, worried about that, struggling with this, frustrated with that. Insert your problem. Now you can take it from the other side. The opportunity. What opportunities does your product or service create? Are you interested in, want to learn more about, learn, keyword, want to know more about? And if you'll find your voice, and if you can hit this valve from both the problem and the opportunity side, this is a silver bullet shot. Anybody who is grappling with that problem or interested in that opportunity cannot not notice your copy. Okay, now, call to action. Give us 5 minutes at GCCE in booth number 123. Define, let the visitor know what they're going to see, what they're going to do, what they're going to learn, and what they're going to get by visiting your booth. That's the value proposition. And if you get your problem and opportunity right, and you think through the visitor experience, see, do, learn, and you tag, oh, by the way, is our way of saying thanks, you will have a booth full of the right people, okay? Big assignment there, big assignment to get your sales, your marketing, your product management team together and work on your value prop. Then deliver it through as many channels as possible. Emails, you can use the exhibitor invites, you can email directly. Your website, the show website. How about picking up the phone and calling people? Direct mail, the clutter in the mailbox has gotten really, really, really light. I think it's a super smart time for all exhibitors to look at getting back in the mailbox. You can get oversized postcards printed and mailed out the door for about $1 a card, and you can do runs as short as 50 postcards, right? So mail, social media. Not only use your social media, but leverage all of the social media that the Global Cold Chain Expo is using and all the co-located events are using. Print advertising. The two best print advertising buys when it comes to trade shows are, number one, trade publications that do a show focus issue. Second, the official show directory and guide. Those are pound for pound, dollar for dollar, your best two print advertising buys. And then take a look at what opportunities are available on site to carry your messaging and your value proposition through all the way to your exhibit. Okay? So use as many media as you can. And most of these, by the way, are low cost, if not free, and very high impact. So how many media are you going to use? People ask me all the time, Jefferson, how many should I use? People will also ask me, what media is the single best media? Here's my answer. How many media should you use? As many as your budget, your time, and your skill set allows you to deploy. How many? How many times should you, oh, by the way, what's the single best media? There is no single best. The magic is in the mix. Different people respond to different media. Use as many as you can. All right, let's keep rocking. We got 3 more to cover in about 12 minutes. We're in great shape here. And by the way, I see some questions coming into the queue. Keep those flowing. I find we all get the most out of these webinars when we start going back and forth with questions. So here we go, number 5. What do you think the most important asset is in your company's exhibiting success? Do you think it's how big and pretty your booth is? Do you think it's where you're located on the show floor? Do you think it's how great your products and services are? Do you think it's your company's reputation in the marketplace? What do you think is the most important asset in your exhibiting program? I would argue that all of those things are important. I would submit that the most important asset is your people, your booth staff, because only they can manage the face-to-face component of exhibiting. Remember, we said trade shows are about face and trade shows are about next. So let's talk a little bit here. Number 1, have enough booth staffers. Not too few, not too many. The rule of thumb is 50 square feet per staffer. If I walk up to your booth, you're in a 10 by 10 booth, and you got 5 of your booth staff in that, I'm telling you, you're going to have a bad show. Okay, so not too many, not too few, have enough. Number 2, a good mix of job functions. I hate to say it, but unfortunately, the person that attendees want to talk to the least in the booth is, quote, sales people. They want to talk to the product managers. They want to talk to the technical experts. They want to talk to customer service. They want to talk to marketing. They want to talk to customers, other customers. They will talk to salespeople, but don't just load your booth up with sales. Have a good mix of job functions in the booth. Number 3, train, okay? The environment is different. Time, fatigue, information overload, high competitive presence are barriers to being effective. And most booth staffers have never really thought about how the environment is different, and they haven't adapted their behaviors and their communication skills. Okay, second, we got to teach our staff how to get into and out of conversations. When a person walks up and into your booth, what do you say? What do you do, right? When a person is near your booth, on the perimeter, what do you do? How do you get them to look? How do you get them to engage? We have to train around these things, okay? Next, you also got to show them how to get out of conversations. You know, a lot of these conversations go way too long. The average interaction in a booth is 3 to 7 minutes. You can get a lot done in 3 to 7 minutes if you are managing it. You can also squander 3 to 7 minutes. Number 3, it's not what you tell, it's what you ask. We've got to train our booth staff on guiding the conversation by asking the questions. Let me give you some examples. Hey, what brought you to the show? What brought you to our booth? I noticed you were looking at our freezers. Tell me a little bit about your interest. You're with so-and-so company? What do you guys do? What do you do with the company? What are you currently doing in this area? What's working? If you could change or improve something about that process, what would that be? What's keeping you awake at night with regard to? If you had a magic wand and could change anything in your process, what would it be? You know, what brand or products are you using now? On a 1 to 10, how satisfied are you with it? Right? All these questions. So what you want to do is write 3 to 5 situational questions, front end, seek to understand questions, and train your booth staff on not to just start talking at people that come in the booth, but meet the person, greet them, welcome them, ask a discovery question. Hey, what brings you by? I noticed you were looking at, tell me about your interest. And then asking 2 or 3 situational questions. Now you'll know who you're with, why they're visiting, and what you need to do in that 3 to 7 minute window that you're going to have. Okay. Next, you've got to dumb down your product messaging. It's got to be brief, it's got to be persuasive, and it's got to be interactive. You have to teach your staff how to talk in sound bites at a show. What I call 60 60-second messages. You know, John, you told me that you were having a problem with your current system in this area, tying back to a need. You know, one of the things I think you're going to really find valuable about our product is this feature. And what that'll do for your process, for your products, for your costs, for your profitability, whatever, is this. What are your thoughts on that? That's a 60-second message. Need, feature, benefit, reaction, question. You also have got to train your booth staff that the real outcome, remember we said trade shows are about face and next. So we have to train our staff on how to get visitors to commit to a clear next step. Here's the biggest problem I see on trade show floors. Somebody walks up into the booth, they give a very unpersonalized product presentation, and they say, well, if I can scan your badge, we'll have our dealer call you. Well, here's a question. Did the visitor ask for their badge to be scanned? Was a phone call really the next step? Now, what will happen, that exhibitor will scan that badge and they'll go, woohoo, I got a lead. And then they'll forward that lead to a salesperson or a dealer or a distributor, and the visitor will never take the call. Why? Great question. Why? I'll tell you why. The visitor did not collaborate and commit to the next step. You've got to train your booth staff. If you trained your booth staff around these 5 skill sets, you would have a world-class booth staff that would be able to take someone from the point of contact, build quick rapport, gain quick understanding, position them, your company, and your products as a solution, and get the visitor to commit to the next step. That's what trade show is really about. Number 6, covering what I call the lead black hole. I wonder how many of you today on this webinar are doing a great job of capturing leads and sending them to sales, dealer, distributors, and never knowing what became of the lead. It's a big problem, okay? So here's the first big idea around leads. If ROI is the name of the game, lead management is the playbook. And this is a big problem, a huge problem. According to Exposition Industry Research, 87% of the leads captured on a trade show floor are never effectively followed up on. And yet you ask any company, why do you exhibit? Top 3 reasons consistently: lead generation. So we're saying that lead generation is a top 3 reason, and the research is telling us that 87% of the leads are never followed up on. Serious problem here. You first have to define what is and what isn't. Okay, to me, a lead is information rich with a committed next action. Write that down, information rich, committed next action. That means I'm capturing more than just what's embedded in the badge. Just randomly scanning people's badges, putting a fishbowl out, drop your business card here to win a GoPro. Those aren't leads, they're contestants, right? So we got to define what is a lead. Next, we got to design our qualifiers, and we have to integrate them into our lead qualification process and our capture device, okay? Then we got to train our staff on guiding the conversation with the right questions and using the lead capture device, okay? Then we got to set lead goals that are clear, specific, and realistic. And by the way, you know how to do that? Take your exhibit interaction capacity formula that you ran a few moments ago and multiply it by 0.25. 1 out of 4 visitors convert to a lead. Give your booth staff ownership for X number of leads per day or per hour, and you have got this thing under control now. When you capture and when you send leads out, you should communicate what you paid for the lead. Take your total show investment, divide it by the number of leads captured, and you have your cost per lead. I just got off a teleconsultation with an exhibitor. We ran their cost per lead. It was $4,101 per lead. The average cost of a trade show lead, according to the industry research, is $283. I think that company has a problem, don't you? Finally, when you route those leads, communicate the cost, set 3 firm post-show reporting dates. 30, 60, 90 days. And then if you really want to get everybody playing along, put a contest in play. Okay, put a contest. The dealer rep that gets the highest percentage of their leads to a confirmed appointment within 45 days wins X. The dealer who gets the highest percentage to a written proposal wins Y, the next level prize. The who gets the highest percentage to convert the business and report back to us wins Z. 3 reporting dates, 3 ascending levels of competition and contests. Get your sales team and dealers competing to see who can convert the highest percentage of your leads to business. You will cover the lead black hole. Final point, and we're running up to the buzzer here. Number 1, what gets measured gets done. You should develop a set of performance metrics and financial performance metrics. Remember your goals I asked you to do, to take your top 3 and create them to written action plans? That's where you start. Okay, we had these 3 goals. How did we do at closing time, and how did we do 6 months after the show? Calculate your exhibit interaction capacity, which you did, and then calculate how much of your capacity you utilized. Okay, next, your cost per interaction, your cost per lead, the potential revenue value of your leads. Ultimately, if you're playing the game for return on investment, track sales conversions over time and measure exhibiting ROI. Let me show a few of these to you quickly. This formula we did earlier. There it is. You know how to do this. Okay. To set a lead goal, multiply your EIC times 0.25. Okay. Now remember, this show it brings 7,500 professional attendees to the show. You can see it's not hard to win if you're doing this right. Your cost per interaction, easy metric to run. Total show investment divided by number of exhibit interactions, CPI. By the way, cost of a field sales call, $596. Cost per interaction, $167. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Your cost per lead, very important to measure this. 50,000 investment, 150 leads, $333. The average cost of a North American trade show lead, $283. I'm a little above. Now I'll compare that to my average sale amount to make sure that I'm on target. Next, I love this one. If you're in marketing and you have a long sales cycle and you just cannot close the loop on your leads, this might be for you the saving grace in how to justify the investment. So let's say that you captured 150 leads and your average sale amount was $25,000. When you multiply the 2 together, you would have generated $3.7 million in potential revenue for your company. When you divide that by the show investment of $50,000, look at this. You have generated $75 of potential revenue for every dollar you invested. I think you're looking like a rock star in your company. I think you're looking like a hero. Okay, so we've covered a lot, and I've gone just a moment over. I'm going to open up the question queue, and while I do that, I'm going to toss it back to James for any additions or thoughts or closing comment. James?
Great job, Jefferson. Really appreciated all those steps. So yeah, ready to field any questions that anyone may have, and appreciate everyone joining us, taking an hour out of their day to talk through this and learn how to best prepare for the upcoming Global Cold Chain Expo.
All right. It looks like these questions are in my wheelhouse for the moment. The first one is, will this presentation, can it be shared? Yeah, we're recording it, and we will upload the replay of this to the GCCE website. You'll be able to go back and review it as many times as you want. You don't have to listen to it end to end. You can drag the timer and go to any point, so you will be able to access it. Someone asked me, how do you calculate cost per lead? That's an easy formula. Take your total show investment. So in my example, $50,000, divide it by the number of leads captured. In my example, $150. My cost per lead was $333. Okay. Someone has a question, says this is great, valuable information. Thank you. But they did not print their workbook. Is this information in the workbook? Yes. You can download it. Look on your screen. You'll see a handout's 1 of 5. And I believe we will also load the workbook PDF up to the webinar replay, so you can get it there too. So that's all I'm seeing for questions. On behalf of James Rogers and the entire team at the Global Cold Chain Expo and my company here, Competitive Edge, I want to thank you so much, for investing an hour with us. Just kind of remember this. It's not what you heard that matters. It's what you do. My closing wish and prayer and hope and dream for you is that you'll get off this webinar. You'll take these 7 ideas I've shared. You'll take all the good information James gave you, and you'll put it to work. If you will, I can close this webinar, not by wishing you a more profitable and productive Global Cold Chain Expo. I guarantee you'll have one. Go get them, have fun. Be sure to use all of the content on the Exhibitor Success and ROI Center. You can reach me at any time with questions through that portal. I love talking shows. You ever want to talk shows? Here's my number. Call me maybe. So have a great day, everybody. We will see you at the show very soon. Thanks for logging in.